You ever have one of those moments where you look back and think, if I'd known what I was walking into, maybe I would have just kept driving? Yeah, this is one of those stories. Picture this. I'm standing outside the high school just trying to pick up my daughter, and here comes Chad, fake police uniform and all playing tough guy. He walks up and says, "This girl isn't safe with someone like you." Then he just grabs Emma and starts dragging her away like he's got the law on his side. And who's watching the show loving every second? Becky Hartwell, our HOA president, arms crossed, smile so smug you could punch it off her face. I don't know what stories they'd cooked up about me, but here's what they didn't know. I'm not just some random single dad. I spent my life training folks to walk into hell and come back with a map. So if they wanted a fight, they were about to find out just how well I know my way out. 6 months ago, I honestly thought the worst part about moving to Springdale Heights would be the taxes. That's laughable now. The real nightmare was Becky and her empire of fake authority. The first shot across the bow came on a Tuesday morning, October. There's this red sign in my yard just screaming community standards violation planted like a flag. I'm standing there, coffee in hand in my running gear, looking at it the way I'd look at a landmine, cautious, calculating. Emma comes out with her camera already snapping evidence because that's how her mind works. She's 16, her mom's eye for detail, my attitude. She circles the sign like a crime scene tech while I'm scanning the street trying to spot whoever did this. That's when Becky struts up with her clipboard and a tablet, Bob Chin trailing behind, poking at some measuring gadget. Becky looks like every HOA president you've ever hated. Perfect hair, black blazer, cold eyes. Bob barely looks at me more into his gadgets than people. Becky starts with the HOA speak, but she's trying to sound like she cares. "We have to protect property values, Marcus." Apparently my security camera is a privacy concern and my LED lights, well, not against the law, but not up to our standards. The way she says authority makes my skin crawl. I tell her plain and simple, I lost my wife 3 years ago. I'm just trying to keep up while raising a teenager. She doesn't care. You have 72 hours to comply or you'll be fined $750. And she actually seems to enjoy saying it. Emma snaps her photo right then, and Becky's face cracks a little when she realizes she's being recorded. Right as this circus is going down, Dr. Park walks by with her kid. Becky flips into friendly neighbor mode, waving like she's running for mayor. Jessica looks uncomfortable as hell, but nods and scurries away. I file that away. There's more to Becky than just this. That night, Emma and I are reviewing security footage, and what we see makes my blood run cold. For 2 weeks, Becky, Chad, and Bob have been sneaking around our property, taking photos, measuring, running surveillance. But then there's Becky on the phone in front of our house reading her lips. She's saying my late wife's name, Sarah Thompson. Emma freezes the frame and we just sit there staring. Why would she even know Sarah's name? Sarah never set foot in Springdale Heights. Only thing I can think of is her old job at a developer in Chester County, but that was years ago. Suddenly this doesn't feel like an HOA beef, it feels like a targeted operation. I tell Emma, "No, sweetheart, this isn't normal HOA stuff." And as I'm watching Becky mouth Sarah's name, it hits me we're dealing with someone who did her homework on us. I called an old friend, Colonel Mitchell, and asked for a background check on Becky. Meanwhile, Emma's going full cyber detective, digging through social profiles and public records. We're hitting this from both sides, but it's personal now. Next morning, I go into counter-surveillance mode, binoculars at the window. After 15 years in special ops, you spot trouble before it spots you. Chad shows up in a wannabe patrol car decked out in HOA security decals, circling the block, talking into a radio. Theatrics, but the intention is clear, organized intimidation. Meanwhile, Emma's in her room, monitors everywhere. She calls me in. She's found Becky's old work history, Keystone Development Group, Chester County. Same time, same place as Sarah. Suddenly, I'm seeing a direct line between Sarah's stress, Becky's harassment, and the accident that killed my wife. Jessica Park confides in me later. Becky tried to recruit her for welfare checks on Emma. She felt sick about it, but Becky scared her into silence. Mrs. Dorothy Chen, Bob's wife, pulls me aside at the grocery store, says there's stuff about Becky I need to know, tells me to call her. That night, Emma hacks into cached HOA emails. Becky and Chad are planning a bogus child welfare case to get Emma removed from my custody. It's a setup. I call Colonel Mitchell again. This is bigger than HOA fines. It's a criminal conspiracy. Dorothy invites me and Emma to her basement the next evening. Turns out Dorothy's a retired FBI analyst. Her scrapbooking is a full-on evidence board. She's been tracking Becky since she arrived, links her to a missing person case. Thomas Wright, another HOA rebel who disappeared after crossing Becky. Dorothy's files show that Sarah tried to report Becky for embezzlement. Becky retaliated with harassment, pushing Sarah over the edge. My wife died trying to blow the whistle on Becky's crimes. The next morning, Chad and Becky start their in-game faked CPS paperwork. Emma's taken for evaluation at school. But Emma had set up her phone for live tracking, and Dorothy's already on it, looping in the FBI. Through Emma's audio feed, we hear Becky admitting the whole thing. Your father destroyed someone important to me. Now he's going to lose everything. Chad gets nervous. What about Dorothy? And Becky says, she won't be a problem much longer. Ice cold. But Emma, my girl, she's working the angles even as she's kidnapped. She gets Becky to confess to everything on audio while the feds close in. She picks her way out of zip ties, hacks Chad's phone for GPS data, and finds evidence that links Becky to Thomas Wright's murder. FBI busts in, gets Emma out, nails Chad and Becky red-handed, and Becky loses it in court, screaming that we ruined her life. The whole thing blows up national news, federal charges, the works. 6 months later, Springdale Heights is a different world. Cameras gone, garden blooming, real community for once. Jessica's HOA president, now Dorothy runs safety. There's transparency and actual neighborliness. Emma and I consult for the FBI on toxic HOA cases. Turns out Becky was just the tip of a giant rotten iceberg. Our work helps shut down 3 more HOA crime rings, and Congress passes the Community Protection Act. Emma gets a scholarship in her mom's name going for single parents. We're helping families reclaim homes, fight back, and rebuild after years of abuse. But here's the real twist. Every time we think we've seen it all, another file lands in our lap. Thousands more families, new towns, same pattern. We're not just fighting one Becky, we're fighting a system that lets people like her hide behind rules and fake authority. And Emma, she's about to head off to Georgetown, majoring in criminal justice, already running circles around most adults. So yeah, that's my story. Started with a violation notice, ended with a federal takedown. But the fight's not over. There's always another Becky out there, another family on the edge. What do you think does community mean? Control or protection? When does governance turn into abuse? I'd love to hear where you stand, what you've seen in your own backyard. Drop your story below. Let's see if together we can finally redraw the map for good.